Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head back to Hong Kong, and this is yet another of the beers that I brought back with me from my recent trip over to Asia. When I was on my way home from Korea, I managed to stop off in Macau and Hong Kong, and I went to HK Brewcraft again to buy another couple of Hong Kong beers to bring back with me. And this is one that I tried when I was there the first time and was very, very impressed with. So for this review we're going to return to Heroes Beer Company, and we're having a look at the Cereusly 50db IPA, which comes in at 6% ABV. I tried this beer when I was at the Ale Project in Mongkok, and like I said, it was a really, really nice beer, and I just wanted to do a more kind of in-depth and sit-down review on this one because I was that impressed with it. So I really hope that you guys enjoy my take on this beer. Heroes Beer Company, incidentally, are one of the most highly regarded ones in Hong Kong. I was very impressed with the Snap 09 Scotch Ale, the wee heavy that I had from these guys before. It was really authentic and just very well done, and like I said, I know that this is a very good beer. So if you're interested in Hong Kong beers, this is a brewery that you definitely want to keep an eye on, and go and check out the Ale Project as well and HK Brewcraft, both very, very good venues within Hong Kong. Beer in Hong Kong, incidentally, is a little bit more expensive because in Asia they generally don't make their own malts. They've got to import all the hops and malts and things like that, plus the fact Hong Kong is quite a rich place. The Hong Kong dollar is a pretty strong currency, so you will pay that little bit more for beer there, but the quality of beer is as good as you're going to get from Europe or from America, in my opinion. So I highly recommend you go to Hong Kong. It's a crazy place, but definitely worth the visit, and you've got good beer there, so what's not to like? But anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Heroes Beer Company before. No doubt I will add some more in the fairly near future. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlists of beers from different countries. There is one there for the Hong Kong beers that I've reviewed for you, and that's being added to whenever I get the opportunity. And as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely, hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Heroes Beer Company then. So Heroes Beer Company was founded by Chris Wong, who's very well known in the Hong Kong craft beer scene, in fact, and his childhood friends Jason Lowe and Angus Ip. And apparently the idea behind this brewery is to produce beers in collaboration with mystery beer enthusiasts who are reportedly questioned extensively about their craft beer passion before they're invited to collaborate with the brewery. Chris said that the idea is that he felt that the real owners of a craft brew are the fans who support it, and he thought it would be nice to give them the chance to be a sort of superhero of the craft beer world by producing their own beer. So Chris himself is a former accountant, and he moved to Hong Kong from the US for work, and then he went on to found HK Brewcraft and then later Carbon Brews, while also working to brew for Hitachino Nest, the Japanese brewery who are part of Kyushu Brewery in Ibaraki Prefecture, quite a well-known sake brewer in fact. Jason is another co-founder of HK Brewcraft, and he has a background in finance, development and project management, while he also serves as the president of the Hong Kong Craft Beer Association. He's the general manager of the company, but also a certified beer tester and cicerone, and likewise Angus Ip is a fellow co-founder of HK Brewcraft, and he has a background in software engineering and finance. As of June 2019, when I did my first review for these guys, they'd produced 32 different types of beer. Most of these were brewed in collaboration with the Heroes, but there were a few in there that had been brewed for special occasions and things like this. Quite a few of them have turned out to be quite popular. Like this one, I think, was brewed originally just as a one-off, and that was the intention with this brewery, that they were just going to produce the beers, you know, as kind of one-offs, but some of them, like this one, have proved to be very popular, and they have been brewing them quite widely. I think this beer is actually brewed at the Hitachino Nest facility that they have up there, along with the Carbon Brews, because Chris is involved at Carbon Brews as well. So a very, very well-known figure within the craft beer scene. It would be cool to have him on the channel actually and talk to him a little bit about the craft beer scene, so hopefully I can get in touch with him at some point and go back to Hong Kong and interview him on the channel or something like that. But a very you know, a very well respected figure within the Hong Kong craft beer scene, and this is a beer that seems to be very, very popular. But yeah, that's all you really need to know at the moment about Heroes Beer Company. A really interesting brewery, this one. A completely different approach to their craft beer than I've seen from other breweries in the past, and definitely one that you want to check out if you find yourself in Hong Kong. So as always, the brewery website's in the description below if you want to learn more about the brewery, and of course you can follow them on Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that, and keep up to date with all the latest goings on, new beer releases and stuff like that. So yeah, with this beer, like I said at the start of the video, this one is a 6.2% IPA. From what I understand, if I've understood it correctly, Cereusly is a music producer within Hong Kong, and the 50 decibels, they are a band that are, or plus 50 decibels, they're like a sort of post-punk band actually, so I think this is meant to be like a sort of double collaboration if you like. On the side here it says Cereusly is gifted with the ability to manipulate nature's most eccentric sounds with every gulp of beer he drinks. He employs his powers to perfect the sound of engineering of post-punk band plus 50 decibels with hopes to bring back real music to planet Earth. Just like his favourite pair of headphones, this floral and zesty IPA should only be enjoyed with the finest band at night. So yeah, cool this one. But yeah, there's a little look at the artwork for you. I do like the artwork on these Heroes beers actually, they're really, really quite cool. I have to admit, I do think it would be cool to move to Hong Kong and actually get involved a little bit more in the craft beer scene, because it's a very, very exciting time in fact. The Japanese beer scene is a little bit more kind of further down the line if you like, but the Hong Kong one, it's just at a very kind of good early stage. So yeah, Heroes Beer Company, one of the breweries as I said that you definitely want to check out. Let's just wash the water off the can. I'll get a nice big stain on my shirt now. Yep, there we go. But yeah, let's get this guy out and we'll get on with the tasting. And like I said to you at the start of the video, this one is a 6.2% IPA. If I remember correctly, this is a New England type IPA, this one, but we'll see when we pour it out. Actually it's less hazy than I remember it being. But yeah, does it say on the side here? No, it doesn't say whether it's New England or not, but I remember this being a very, very good beer, this one. So yeah, as you can see with this beer, it's poured a nice kind of hazy sort of golden colour. I really love this Shangmen glass actually. It's good for either 330s or tall boys, you know, 440s, American pints, 473s. But yeah, a really nice looking IPA, this one. If I hold it up to the light, it does lean a little bit more towards the orangey side of things, but it's midway between the yellow and orange end of the spectrum in terms of its colour. There's a solid half finger of a frothy, I would say, cream coloured head on this one. It's more cream than it is perfect white. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, and a few little ones just heading up towards the bottom of that head there. But you know, overall it is pretty nice looking actually. Nothing overly surprising about this beer in terms of its appearance, and you can smell some of these lovely juicy fruity esters coming out of this beer as soon as we open it up. So let's take a little closer look at the aroma then and just see how we get on. Ooh, that smells pretty good actually. So straight away with this beer, you're going to notice with this, it really does have quite a sharp nose to it. There's a lot of passion fruit coming out of this one for me. I would suspect that there's a bit of Galaxy in here, and I think probably not Simcoe. It's not milky enough to be Simcoe. I do suspect that it's Galaxy in here because the passion fruit coming out of this beer has a good bit of punch to it. Incidentally, I always love playing Guess the Hops with these IPAs. I do think there's Galaxy in here. Nice big bit of sharp passion fruit in there. Definitely some mangoes and some kind of like papayas and apricot-y notes coming out of this beer as well. You've got the quite strong the quite strong passion fruit. You've got the lighter mangoes in there too. And as you go further into the aroma as well, there's a nice sort of pineapple-y, papaya, slightly apricot-y note coming out of this beer too. But I would say overall, the fruity side of the beer is dominated by the stronger tropical fruit notes. There's maybe a little bit of a lemony quality to this one, so there could be a bit of Centennial in here or something like that. Maybe even a little touch of lime, which could be Equinox. So there is a little touch of a lemon limey quality to this IPA as well, in fairness. So a lot of kind of fruity notes. The fruity quality in this beer does come across as quite oily and quite pungent in my mind. On the green side of the hops, I would say that this beer is, yeah, It's got a good bit of grassy character to it, but there is that little bit of sharp floral quality also, which is quite interesting. The malt base, in my mind, it has a good little bit of a white bready quality to it. There is a little touch of an oaty creaminess in there as well, right enough, but not too much in the way of oats. It definitely has a little bit of a pale malty, slightly wheaty quality in the base. There's a little bit of a biscuity sweetness as well, a little touch of graininess also. So it's a really kind of interesting it's a really interesting combination of things going on in the aroma of this beer. It's interesting the way the sweetness and the malt base comes out in this one, because it's quite sharp and it's quite pungent with its fruity qualities, but the malt base is really smooth and almost quite sweet actually as well. So the aroma of this beer is definitely quite different compared to some of the other things that you're going to come across from in the IPA world, if you like. But like I said, I have tasted this beer before when I was at the Ale Project in Montauk, and I know that this is a bloody good beer. So, as I always say, take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of the beer before you get stuck into it. I'm finding that the more and more I smell of this, of this one as well, the sweeter that malt base gets. So yeah, just take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of this beer for yourself and see how you get on. So yeah, let's get stuck into this one then. So this one is the Cereusly plus 50 decibel IPA from Heroes Beer Company in Hong Kong. A really good beer, and I'm looking forward to trying it a bit more in depth for you. Let's get stuck in. Slàinte, Skål, Gambi. Yeah, that's really quite nice. It tastes a little bit different actually to how it did on the tap. Actually, on the tap, it was it tasted a little bit creamier actually, but it's got a nice little bit of crispness in it here. It retains a good bit of that creaminess, but it does have just a little touch of crispness in the aftertaste as well, which is quite nice. So yeah, in the middle of your palate then, straight away, you're going to feel a nice little bit of that pale malty quality just blanket the middle of your tongue. And with this beer, it's not quite as wheaty and oaty and things as I was expecting it would be. In the centre of your palate, you've got a little bit of a biscuity sweetness in there as well. It does have a little bit of a grainy quality, this one, which is quite... which is really quite good. Dog's going a bit crazy. But yeah, it does have that nice bit of graininess the further you go into the aftertaste with this one, and I like how that kind of comes out. There's a little touch of a woody element to this beer the further that you go into the aftertaste as well, which is really nice. And I really like how this whole how the whole malt base kind of goes together. It's got a little bit of smoothness there underneath. It does sweeten up a little bit further, the further that you go into the aftertaste. There is that biscuity quality there, but it does also become a little bit more grainy and dry the further that you go into the malt base as well. So there's a lot of things going on in this one actually, but I would say that on tap, this beer is a little bit more kind of creamy in its sort of flavour, if you like. So just be aware of that when you try this one. If we're sort of relating this one to the West Coast, East Coast side of things, there is a little bit of East Coast in this one, and I'd say it leans more towards the East Coast side of things, but this obviously is not the haziest of IPAs that you're going to come across. It is a little bit higher in terms of IBUs as well, so it's got a little bit of West Coast bitterness, but it has more of that kind of New England sort of malt base to it, if that makes sense. But yeah, I really do like how this one goes together. I'm glad I bought a can of this to bring back and review. So on the hoppy side of things then, back corners of the palate, there's a little tiny touch of earthiness there in the back corners of the tongue. As you come further forward, the earthiness spreads forward a little bit. You get a little touch of a floral quality at the front corners of your palate as well. Then round the very front curve of the tongue, it's just a little bit lighter and more grassy in my mind as well. Behind the front curve of the palate, of course, that's where you get that nice oily bubble where those juicy fruity esters start to push their way out of the beer. And for me, again, this one is kind of sticking towards the passion fruity side of things. There is a little bit of that darker grapefruit in there, but to me it's mainly a passion fruity quality that's coming out of this one. And as you come further forward on the tip of your tongue, it gets a little bit sort of, I don't know if there's too much in the way of mango, but it gets a little bit more apricot-y and papaya-like in its flavours too. But the thing you're going to notice about this beer is that it is, even though it's like 6.2%, so it's heavier in alcohol than a regular session IPA would be, which would be like 4.5 or something like that, or somewhere between 4 and 5% generally. But this one at 6.2%, it actually has quite a similar flavour profile to these beers that you get from America or Europe that are termed session IPAs. But yeah, there is almost a little bit. I talked about lemon and limey qualities coming out of this beer as well. There could be a little bit of Centennial or Equinault in this one. If you go to the very front of your tongue, there is just a little bit of a kind of, I'd say it's more of a limey flavour than a lemony flavour. So if I was guessing hops in this one, I might guess Galaxy and Equinault. That would be that would be an interesting combination, I think. So if I was guessing, I would go for that. As I always say, I like to play guess the hops for these beers. But I mean, overall, this is a really nice beer, this one. I think I like it on tap a little bit more, just when it's just that little bit creamier, but in terms of the flavour profile, it really is nice. It reminds me a lot of some of these session IPAs, which are really, really good. So I mean, if you like session IPAs but you want it to be a little bit more high in alcohol, then this is a good one to try. But this is one of the most popular IPAs in Hong Kong from what I gather, and to be honest, I can see exactly why. It's got everything you'd want. So let's move on to the mouthfeel actually with this one, and then round off. So in the middle of your palate, like I said, the malt base in this one has a good balance between being drier in the aftertaste but also being a little bit smooth and a little bit sweet. There's a good little bit of hoppy bitterness. I'd say around, I think it's around 50 IBUs in this one. Something like that, and there's a nice bit of a juicy fruitiness, but the fruity side of the beer also has a little bit of that darkness and pungency that you'd expect of tropical fruits. So on the overall with the mouthfeel, I would say that this one, it has a little bit of an oily quality, but it leans towards the wetter side of things. Carbonation's very smooth on this one, and I think this is probably at the bottom end of mid-bodied, this beer. It does have a good bit of wetness to it, so it has a little bit of that kind of sessionability to it, but like I said, a little touch higher in terms of its alcohol content. But a nice beer, this one, and I'm glad that I was able to review it for you. So this one is the Cereusly 50db IPA from Heroes Beer Company in Hong Kong. A really nice beer, from what I gather one of the more popular IPAs in Hong Kong, and definitely worth checking out if you get the chance. If you like sort of limey flavours and passion fruity notes in your IPAs, then I think this is one that you're definitely going to enjoy. The aftertaste, incidentally, is kind of leading towards that passion fruity, limey sort of quality. So this is quite a pungent, fruity IPA, this one, compared to some of the other ones that you've got. But an interesting sort of, it's got the West Coast bitterness, but a little bit more of that almost New England session IPA type flavour to it. But definitely one that you need to check out if you try some Hong Kong beers. So let's leave it at that. Once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Heroes Beer Company as well. And I'm sure I'll return to these guys at some point in the fairly near future. Definitely go to Hong Kong and check out some of the other craft beers as well, and this is a brewery that you really should try for yourself. So until the next time, Slàinte just now, and I'll catch you guys later. Slàinte, Skull, Gambé, cheers.